In this video, we're talking about the top 5 tips for engineering students graduating in 2020, and we're starting right now. Hey, 1% Nation, Jake here, and welcome back to the 1% Engineer Show, where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1%. So if this is you, make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe. Check out the description below for access to the free 1% Engineer Kit, the Discord server with over 400 engineers, and the IG page. This week's video is another 1% Engineer Star feature, where we feature engineers with expertise, lessons, and knowledge from out there in the world and bring it to you on the show so that we can show you what it's like to be them for a day, what it's like to learn from them, or whatever it is that is the focus of their video. Today's feature focuses on a cool engineer named Solomon Rosenbaum from Israel, who is a mechanical engineer who received both his bachelor's and his master's degree from Columbia University. So Ivy League all the way, great school. Good for you, Saul. Saul worked in the energy sector for most of his career, but what really impacted him was mentorship along the way. And that's why he started the engineeringmentor.com, where he puts out great content, has awesome blog articles, and even a valuable engineering newsletter where he teaches you all the things that he's picked up along the way and reasons why he's become so passionate about helping young engineers, and it really focuses all around engineering mentorship. So with that being said, I'd love to kick it over to Saul, ask him what got you started with all of this focus on engineering mentorship. How did the engineeringmentor.com begin? Thanks, Saul.
Well, I have to tell you, it was really only because of a happenstance conversation with some other engineers in the break room that led me to this passion for mentoring. I always enjoyed helping some of the younger engineers in my firm, some of the engineers that I was working on projects with. But it was really in that conversation one day where we were talking about mentors, talking about supervisors helping us along. And I look around the room and I see everybody's looking at me like I'm the weird one and really had this experience that none of them had. And I looked into it a bit further. I spoke to some of my other friends elsewhere in the field, and I found that really the experience that I had with the mentors that really helped me get to where I am today, to really help me reach success in my career, was not the norm. And through that experience, understanding that I could do a lot of good passing along this information, I decided, hey, this is a great way to pay it forward. And I started creating materials. I started focusing on how I can help the next generation of engineers.
Great, thanks for that intro, Saul. So question number 1 that we have for you in the top 5 questions, top 5 pieces of value that you can add to engineers who are graduating in 2020 or in a few years. Let's actually start with the engineers who are not graduating this year, the ones who are getting more serious in 2020. Maybe they're going to be finding a full-time job next year or in 2 years. So for those of us just getting started or halfway through their engineering student career right now, what tips do you have for them, Saul, so that they can find internships, find opportunities, find jobs pretty soon into the future?
I think one of the hardest truths for a lot of younger engineers, especially those graduating from engineering school, to learn is that this is not a meritocracy. Just because you had the best grades in the class, you had 3 internships with amazing companies, you are not guaranteed a job. And it really comes down to networking. If you think that these employers are just going to find you without doing some networking, you're going to be sadly mistaken. And so I tell a lot of younger engineers, start networking early. When you have an internship, make sure you stay in touch with those people. Alumni of your school are great people to network with. And if you keep up with them, you'll graduate with a decent network. Now, that's not to mean that somebody who graduates and doesn't have that network in place is screwed, but they could be a step behind, and they should certainly focus on that. The other thing I tell a lot of engineers, even as they move along in their career, is that you should always be networking. You should always work on developing your network to some degree. Because if you think you're going to wait until you need the network to start developing it, then you're going to run into issues. I often compare it to a hurricane. You would not start preparing for the hurricane as it's making landfall. You would go and buy the supplies, have everything ready, have a plan once you see that it's coming. And the fact is, you don't know what tomorrow brings. Especially with this pandemic, we've learned that things can change overnight. So it's always best to have the network, always develop it to some degree, and this way you're prepared regardless of what the future brings. brings.
Thanks for that, Saul. Next up, I get a lot of questions from engineers who say, oh, what if I don't have any experience? What if I don't have the greatest GPA? How can I still get internships? How can I still get jobs? What do you say to them, Saul?
I graduated from engineering school and went right into the energy efficiency, energy engineering arena. And this was honestly a space that I had not heard of before I graduated and got my first job in the field. I was thinking of patent attorney following engineering school. I was thinking of roller coaster design. I was thinking of biomechanics. I had a lot of great ideas, and for one reason or another, those didn't pan out, or those weren't what I wanted in the end. And I think that this whole idea of following your passion can really get a lot of people into trouble, because you focus so deeply on that one area. You focus on getting a job in that space, and if you don't get a job, you feel disappointed. The fact is that it really takes time to develop a passion within an engineering field, and you don't need to have it initially. You can develop it over time. And a great book that I would really highly recommend is by Cal Newport. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You, and he talks about why skills are really the important part as opposed to passion when you're looking for a job. So you want to find a place where you can develop skills and really grow, and then you can sort of move into a specific area where you have a specialization.
Really great tips there. So, question number 3, what about for our seniors? What about the reason why you guys are here for this video? For the people who are going to be actually looking for a full-time job this fall semester in engineering, what primary tips do you have for them?
One of the skills that a lot of engineers are lacking, and where they can really set themselves apart from other engineers, is when it comes to public speaking. This is something that I got into almost by accident, and I was looking for an easy A. Essentially, one of my friends told me about this public speaking class while I was an undergrad in engineering school, and I figured, listen, if I'm going to take, a non-technical elective class, I might as well get one that's an easy A, let it help out my GPA. And so I took a class in public speaking. And this is something that really helped me early in my career, and something that I've continued to develop through a group called Toastmasters International. They have a lot of chapters around the world where you can help develop this skill. And it's allowed me to have more confidence when speaking to smaller groups and also to larger groups. I've ended up speaking at several conferences because of the skills I've learned. And one of the kickbacks I get from people is that, look, that's really nice, but I'm not into the whole Tony Robbins, public speaking to 500 people type of thing. And I get that. It's not for everybody. But the truth is, the skills that you learn with public speaking can really help you with your interviews. It can help you if you're in management and you're giving a progress meeting to 10 or 15 people. It could also help you if you're the one chosen by your boss to walk several investors around. It's really just a good skill to have to help convey your ideas properly. Because you can have the greatest ideas, you can be the greatest engineering talents, but if you're not able to convey those ideas to other engineers and to other non-engineers, I believe you're going to find yourself limited. And that's why this is a skill that I really think engineers should work on and try to develop further.
Thank you for that. Great tips for our seniors, Saul. Question number 4 is for the people who are going to be doing interviews, your seniors, your juniors looking for internships, maybe even your sophomores who are getting started a little bit early. If you're anything besides a freshman, you're probably eligible to get an internship, guys. Get some sort of research position, some sort of virtual assignment this fall, this year, guys. So you should go for it. But question number 4 is interview tips. What suggestion and advice do you have about interview prep and interview tips, Saul?
If somebody says you write like an engineer, that is never a compliment. It's really building on the stereotype that engineers are poor writers. And in my experience, that's true for a lot of engineers. Not all, but there's a big chunk of engineers that are very poor writers. And if you can excel in this area, it can really help you out in your career. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that engineers don't write as sort of a side skill in their learning in university. So for example, someone who's majoring in history will write a report about an era, about a certain topic, but the way they convey this research is through writing, whereas you just don't have that in the engineering program. So if you have the opportunity to take a creative writing class, that can be really helpful. Also, a lot of engineering schools will give a technical writing class. I certainly recommend taking that as a technical elective. This is something that will help you when you're writing reports, but also when you're writing progress emails or group emails to the people within your program and ensuring that your ideas are conveyed clearly and everything is running smoothly.
Great, great, great. Thank you for that. And finally, question number 5, the grand finale here. When these engineers do actually land that role, that internship, that job, that whatever, what does it take to actually be successful? What are the keys to actually doing a great job when you get to the job?
I wanted to close with 2 general tips that engineers should keep in mind in the first years of their career. The first one is that management should not necessarily be the ultimate goal. And the reason why I say this is that a lot of engineers have in their mind that this is the natural progression that they should look towards. But it's really important to realize that engineering management is a very different job than working as a hands-on design engineer. You're going to have to start dealing with interpersonal issues between different coworkers. You're going to have to start dealing with budgets and general oversight of the projects. Perhaps you get into the marketing and business side of things. This is fine if you want to do it. And honestly, this is a path that I have chosen personally, but it's important to know that it is not the same as a design engineer. And if you really enjoy the design, you really enjoy the calculations and that side of the technical side, I should say, of the projects, then management may not be for you. The other thing that's important to recognize is that your engineering degree is a great foundation and a great basis for your career, but you have to continuously develop and continuously learn new things if you want to succeed. And one area that you can do that is when it comes to licensing and certifications, in addition to perhaps going for a master's in a specific area. So I tell everybody the way you decide which ones may be right for you and your career path is look ahead and see the engineers that are 5, 10 years ahead of you on the path that you want to be towards that goal, and see which of the licenses and certifications seem to come up most often. That should be your guiding force on which ones you should attempt to achieve as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Lights out. 5 for 5 with those responses, Saul. Thank you so much. Guys, if you enjoyed this 1% star feature with Saul Rosenbaum and you want to rise to the top 1% of your engineering career, make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe. Check out the links in the description for the free 1% Engineer Kit, access to the Discord server with over 400 engineers, and our IG page. Comment below. What helped you here? Where are you in your engineering journey? What questions do you have? We would love to hear from you. Make sure you comment. Join the Discord server so we can keep the conversation going, and we'll see you again in another video. Bye-bye.